Hi, friends. It's me, Julia. And today I wanted to talk about how to choose your MBA programs from an application standpoint as well as an attendance standpoint. I feel it's important to discuss this because this is an expensive process, both in time and money. Applications often come with fees. Taking the GMAT or the GRE costs a few hundred US dollars plus additional money to send the scores to schools. It costs money to visit schools, and of course, there are significant costs associated with attending an MBA program for a year or two, depending on where you go. Not to mention, it takes an equivalent amount of your time, which is your most valuable and least renewable resource. Here are a few steps I think are worth consideration during this part of your journey. Step one, define your ideal outcome as a student. There are a few different ways to do this, and it'll depend on what you value most, what's negotiable for you, and what you'd rather avoid. The more specific your ideals are, the less schools you'll have to pick from. For instance, if you're really interested in economics, cool. Many schools will have economics aspects in their curriculum. If your main interest is having Nobel laureates as professors, though, that's going to narrow down your options significantly. Some people like to come at it from the other direction, career prospects. If you only want to work for one or two companies that recruit new MBAs and anywhere else would feel like a disappointment, it's probably best that you narrow down the schools where your ideal employers do most of their recruiting. Step two, let's talk about location. I think this is something that is overlooked by many prospective students. I have lived all over the United States because growing up, my parents had work that required travel. I have lived in great places and places I probably would not live again. I hear a lot that it is only a couple years of your life, but realistically, that is a long time. One thing that I considered in my applications is that if I went to a school where a lot of the alums stay in the area after graduation, it might help build those relationships further to have a dense and long running network at my fingertips. Now, maybe you haven't lived that many places and you don't really have strong opinions on location yet. You will most likely develop some if you move for your MBA, and even more so if you move again promptly after graduation. This ties into my next step. Step three, what kind of overall school culture are you looking for? Here's the deal. A major part of getting an MBA is the business friends you make along the way. The strong social aspect is the differentiating characteristic between this type of program and most any other graduate business degree. Because success is somewhat dependent on your network strength when you leave, it seems wise to set yourself up for social success. I would carefully consider class size. The bigger the class, the more likely there will be at least one person there who shares your niche interest. However, larger groups can sometimes be more difficult to stand out in, or the connections you make might be a bit more surface level. Think about Stanford Duck syndrome. If people are in a large competitive group, their desire to seem calm and confident might outweigh their willingness to be transparent about the pressures that they're under. There are also smaller programs, and there you would be a little less likely to meet people that are exactly like you or who share a lot of the same hobbies, but you are more likely to get to know a larger portion of the group on a deeper level. For instance, I went to a medium sized high school, graduating class size of about 300 students. Over the past summer, my friend and I were on a parade float in my town, which is about 6 hours from the town we went to school in. And one of our fellow high school classmates was in the crowd, recognized my friend, and later messaged us with an invite to have lunch with her. It has been over a decade, and we don't know everyone from our graduating class like super well. But the honors and AP kids at my school were basically the same 50 kids shuffled around between classes for several years. So we've all spent enough time together in our lives that even 10 plus years later in a place you wouldn't necessarily expect to run into someone, my friends still got recognized from 50 feet away on a passing parade float. There are benefits to both small and large class sizes, but upon further reflection, you might find you have a preference, so it's a good thing to think about. I am also a big advocate for checking the general vibe of a place before I agree to move there or attend the school there for multiple years. When I visited my undergrad school's campus, it was very charming. The campus is pretty and there's some super neat and interesting architecture. Yes, it took a time investment to come visit, but investing that time put my mind at ease that it was a place that I could live for a few years comfortably. I also got to meet some other new students, and the way we interacted as strangers was encouraging. Now, as I said, campus visits will come with a cost, and it might not seem worth it to you. My partner and I already like to travel recreationally, so this past couple of years, while I've been thinking about school, we've scheduled our trips to places that had schools I was interested in so that we could get a feel for the cities and the campuses and see if they seemed like a good fit. I'm kind of an anxious person, so I'd rather spend a couple $1,000s up front to check out a place for a week before I agree to spend way more money moving there for years. If that's not available to you, or even if it is, I definitely recommend talking to a few different current students and alums if possible. That way, you can get a diverse perspective on the culture. You can ask different people your questions, and that'll allow you to make the most informed decision possible. The admissions office can often set you up with people if you ask, or tell you about events in your area if any are coming up. Picking the right school for you does deserve serious consideration for a few reasons. One, you'll probably get a couple different offers that you'll need to compare. Also, school is long. Have you ever had a job that you liked, or even if you didn't like it, for a few years? Was every single day just great, or did you run into occasional frustrations and challenges? What got you through the hard times? Because school will come with challenges, but the more reasons that you have in your arsenal for why you made a good choice, why that school is the best fit for you, how it's helping position you for your best post MBA career or anything else, the more unshakable you're going to be. Building strong roots is what makes you a stable tree. The more confident you can be in your choice, the less the unexpected is going to bother you. Best of luck, and I will see you next time.